Oh, I can't speak for everybody. I'll just say with me, when I hear the word role play, my mind goes straight to the gutter.
Yes.
Straight to the gutter.
Yes, into the hotel room.
But you don't have to use it necessarily to initiate sex. It can also help you just get to know your partner better. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
We've got Dr. Viviana Coles with Houston Relationship Therapy here to explain how. Let's just dive in here.
Yep.
So how are we using role play to communicate better?
So you want to take yourselves out of the normal like dinner date sort of situation and pretend as if you're meeting your partner for the first time. What questions would you want to know from your partner the first date? Now, obviously, you don't want to waste your time like, where are you from? And, you know, what's your favorite meal? We don't need to waste our time with that. So I'm going to give you 4 questions that you can ask when you're role playing with your partner to really get to know them more intimately, both emotionally, and of course, it could lead to more physical.
Okay. All right.
What
So
is
what's the first question?
Okay, so the first question is, what is your proudest life accomplishment so so
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll
You learn a
get
lot from
people
that.
talking.
I
yeah.
think so.
I'm thinking about what is mine, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, you know, to be able to then go on and ask them questions about, you know, what has been the most life-changing event and why and how. You know, for a lot of people, they go through life and we really just do feel like we're on a train on a track.
Yeah.
To be able to then stop and say, you know what, this was probably the most monumental or momentous occasion in my life and why. I think that would be a nice thing to know.
I would think that would open up a deep discussion because either it could be something very positive, it could be something very negative. So you're going to have a lot to talk about.
Well, and if you're role playing that you're just getting to know each other, you can take out that emotion piece of it as far as like judgment or wait, it wasn't this? No, remember, you're role playing, you're just getting to know each other. You don't get to have a say because you weren't a part of it necessarily.
Right.
So
Yeah.
remember, just kind of more objectifying and an objective perspective, which I think really helps when you're having these conversations.
And these are really questions you could ask even if you've been with the person for years. One, because people change, so their
Exactly.
answers may change.
Yeah,
but
this
also,
is
you
good
never
for
know.
new relationships, for older relationships. Just if you're in a place where you're like, we haven't had these talks.
Yeah.
But it gets a little bit strange when we're just on the couch cuddling, you know, eating popcorn and watching a movie. This is almost like, let's go out there. We'll even get dressed up. We'll go out to a bar. We'll sit at a park, whatever, and have these conversations from a very curious standpoint versus like an interrogation.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
necessarily need that. The third question is if you had to pick a totally different life, where you would live, what you would do, where would it be, what would you do, and why?
That can be a very revealing question as well.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, again, we only know our partners in certain contexts, and we don't necessarily know them in any other ways. And if we don't check in with them like, hey, now, if you had to, just like when they say, if you had to spend $1 million, how would you do it? And it can't be, you know, putting it in the bank. This sort of question reveals a lot about that too, and reveals a lot about what they're thinking about your life in general. And then the last question is, when do you feel most like yourself? That's a question that I think would then, hopefully, if you're ending the night with this question, will then allow you to then say, you know what? Let's see how we can make some more of that happen. When can you show up more authentically?
Yeah, and then what would you say after you've sort of had a talk like this? You know, where can we go from here?
So it's not about then saying we need to make all of this happen, or wait a minute, you want to move to Italy? Is that what you're telling me? But it is about filing it away and then checking in. And maybe it's something that you do on your anniversary every year. Hey, what was the most life-changing event from this past year? What do you love most about our life together? And then, of course, when have you felt most like yourself, and did you get to do more of that this year? So checking in again.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's all smart. I have to check that in the back of my head for future.
Yeah. And if y'all want any more tips, any questions like these, head over to drviviana.com, spell out doctor, and hit the subscribe. Get my emails.